So one of the main reasons why I make MMA videos on YouTube is because I love MMA and I also love YouTube. When I'm not watching MMA, I am often watching YouTube videos. I'm often on YouTube. I am aware and keyed into the YouTube ecosystem. So of course, I am aware of this character, Wes Watson. But if you are not aware of who this guy is, Wes Watson is a fitness influencer, to an extent, a finance influencer, one of these course selling individuals trying to grift you out of your money by selling you a course to make yourself money. You know, I'm going to help you help yourself kind of thing. He's also part of the prison influencer space, which is not the type of content that I consume, but I do know that it exists. So this guy, I guess, did some time, tells his stories about his time in prison, so he's part of that community as well. But what he really is now and has become is essentially a lolcow. This dude embarrasses himself constantly online, gets himself into situations where he is in hot water and pissing people off and making people laugh. And it is starting to catch up with him in a real way because I think that he's got an ongoing court case open right now. But the reason that we're talking about him here is because this Wes Watson guy decided to kick the hornet's nest and essentially called all pro fighters massive pussies, is basically his words. So we're going to take a look at what Wes Watson had to say about fighters in just a second, but I wanted to first show this video from his Instagram because I think that this will give you a good understanding of the type of person and content that this person makes and is.
As I walked out of the penitentiary after doing 10 fucking years, they called my shit, Watson, roll it up. As I left, people of every race stood by that door, shook my hand. I said, watch this. Next person shook my hand, I said, watch this. Next person shook my hand, watch this. I was $1 million in the first fucking 13 months.
So there you go. He is giving a motivational speech of some sort there, saying that he went from prison to a millionaire within 13 months of exiting the pen. Keep in mind that he said that people from all races were dapping him up when he was on his way out of jail, because that's going to play a part a little bit later on in this story. But so that is Wes Watson. That's the type of stuff that he does. All of his videos are him flexing, trying to show off the opulent wealth that he has, because his whole grift is, look how wealthy I am, I can make you wealthy too. This is the video that he put out, or this is part of a live stream that he did. He's got his girlfriend here with him who doesn't talk. She's a prop mostly. From what I understand, she is a paid escort, also still working as one while being his girlfriend. So make of that what you will. But this is Wes Watson and his thoughts on UFC fighters, MMA fighters, and trained combat sports athletes in general.
Don't encourage anyone to run up to these pro fighters. Pro fighters are pussies, okay? They're only good in the ring. People I know will not accept a loss, okay? If a pro fighter did his jujitsu on him, then the guy's gonna come back and duct tape his family, okay? You don't wanna fuck with the wrong people. And the wrong people out here in the world are not pro fighters. You guys need to wake up. These are very big time squares.
You know, this guy, I'm sure, is A, trolling right now. I mean, he's doing this for attention for sure. But B, he's obviously not aware of the combat sports community and the MMA space. Because if he were, he would know that there are legitimately deranged people within this space. There have been plenty of fighters who have done some pretty atrocious things as far as violence goes. In fact, on YAMMA 1, the very first episode of YAMMA that I did on the channel, I covered Phil Baroni, who I need to go back and actually get an update on and see what happened with that case. But if you're not aware, Phil Baroni, former UFC fighter, allegedly at least, murdered his girlfriend in Mexico. So I don't know what the update on that story is. I'll have to go check on that. But still, the point remains, there have been some very over-the-top violent people in the MMA space. So that's part one. Part two, do you not think that these MMA fighters, like, also would take it to those extreme levels? Like, he's talking to a chat right now, right? So a lot of these people are not fighters that he's talking to. And it's like, don't mess with violent people. Like, the chat should not mess with MMA fighters or violent people. Often they are one and the same, but the way that he's describing it is these like murderers and stuff. Yeah, not all trained fighters are going to go out and murder people. The people who fight are disciplined. And I would think that this dude who's selling courses on how to better yourself, discipline would be a part of that. I would think that he would respect that, but obviously not.
Pro fighters are the epitome of squares. They're like, come in the ring and I'll fight you. The people I grew up with and went to prison with, they don't give a fuck about a ring. They don't give a fuck if they're on camera. They don't give a fuck if they have to fucking live the rest of their life in prison. You will not beat them.
What do you think the logical end point of fighting is if it weren't for the structure of the sport, Wes? Do you think that a dude who has you in a rear naked choke is just going to let it go if you're in a legitimate fight? Like, the rear naked choke will kill you eventually. Your arms and legs can get snapped by arm bars and leg bars, knee bars. Like, these dudes could hold them much longer. Paul Harris was notorious for holding locks longer than he should have in competition. Hurt a lot of people very badly doing that. If it weren't for the referees and the ring and all of the structure of the sport, the logical endpoint of fighting is to kill you. So, I mean, like, to think that a trained fighter wouldn't do that or doesn't have the capacity to get to that point with all of the tool set that they have as a trained fighter is absolutely asinine.
They will not take a loss. You guys live in a fantasy world where pro fighters aren't the biggest squares on the planet.
This dude who is sitting in a mansion that he doesn't own with a girl that he is paying to be his girlfriend, who is apparently also still working with other clients, aside from this guy, is talking about who lives in a fantasy world.
UFC fighting is gay. Like, all that shit, like MMA fighting and all that shit is for people who never really were in.
Sorry. Based take.
Like, MMA fighting and all that shit is for people who never really were in fights. Like, they never whooped ass their whole life.
They whoop ass every time that they're in the ring and can do it outside of the ring too. Every time that they are in the cage, they are kicking ass and guarantee they can do that outside of the cage as well. Plenty of fighters have done it in the streets. Plenty of fighters have been the good guy using their fighting to diffuse situations, you know, to de-escalate situations that are violent. There was a video, I think, of Matt Serra a while back in Vegas where he had to like take somebody down in a casino who was acting crazy, and he like held them down while security came over to take care of them. Non-violently, using martial arts effectively to negate potentially hazardous situations. So to say that these dudes couldn't ramp that up to 10 and go out there and annihilate is just, it's patently false and also very stupid. Like, this dude is a complete dork over here for saying these things.
So they're always like, I'm gonna train and fight. Like, I've always just handled shit very easily. I never had to think about fighting because I always just extinguished the problem, however I had.
Thank you for your contribution.
So the point is like, that's for people who like never could really fight. They had to go learn to fight.
People who don't know how to fight, they had to go learn to fight. They weren't just born with the ability to kick ass out the womb. Like you, Wes, a guy who apparently got into a fight in a gym or was going to get into a fight in the gym. Somebody challenged him to a fight and he had to have 5 of his boys beat this dude's ass for him because he couldn't do it on his own. Now, this guy is the real killer, though. He just sees red. You know, he doesn't need training. He does whatever it takes. This dude would get pieced up alive by Kai Kara France. Chase Hooper would annihilate you, dude. Chase Hooper would end your life.
I mean, people who just handle business, they don't have to learn to fight. There's a difference between fighters and violent people.
People who handle business don't have to learn to fight. I mean, I guess, you know, what he's saying is that there are people who are crazy individuals out there, and they'll just, you know, they'll kill you. And that's like, yeah, you know, so will fighters. I don't know what this guy's point is.
You should really stay away from violent people, because it doesn't matter how good you are at fighting. When they want to take it to the level, they'll take you out. And so there's a huge difference here. You guys.
So, I mean, the difference between fighters and violent people is the structure of the sport. It's the sport that differentiates, because those same people could be those violent people if it weren't for the structure. Some of those people still are those same people. Like, this Wes Watson guy wants everyone to believe that he just runs with savages and killers and stuff. Dude, like, I mean, maybe he does. Maybe he does. But from what I've heard, what I've seen, the little bit that I know of this guy, he is talking so far out of his ass, it's unbelievable.
Fighting is some weird sports shit that is all these people do, and it has nothing to do with violence, because a violent person will end your life.
The whole sport is violence. MMA is all violence. It's literal violence. If it weren't for the rules, people would die, bro. I like how this chick just sits here quietly, though. I do appreciate that. She is a very well trained lamp.
This is the thing. You guys need to quit thinking that UFC people are going to be able to fuck around with violent motherfuckers. Because a violent motherfucker won't lose. He won't take it. And you'll be like, wait, put the gloves on. And he's not going to hear it. And it's going to be a problem for you.
Thank you for your contribution there as well.
So what? You have an active case. Why are you talking about this?
And yeah, I think that active case is regarding that incident I was just talking about, where he was in the gym and somebody, he had put a call out in the gym saying like anybody could come and fight him. Somebody came and took him up on the offer, and he had to have 5 of his boys jump this dude because he couldn't handle it himself. This violent person, this violent individual here. This is from McDojo Life, posted a clip of the video, and you can see some of the comments here are from a couple of fighters, one of which is Street Jesus himself, Jorge Masvidal, who knows a thing or two about kicking ass in the cage and also knows a thing or two about getting it done in the street. Jorge Masvidal came from backyard fighting. Ask Colby Covington what Jorge Masvidal will do in the street. So Jorge says, the paid model can give me a better fight than Juicehead. That is probably accurate. And also, from what I understand, this Wes Watson guy is in Miami, where Jorge Masvidal is. So if Watson wants the smoke, he certainly can get it from Jorge. The fact that this person inhabits the same state as me really bothers me. Get the fuck out of Florida, you dork. Florida does not fuck with you. I guarantee you Miami does not fuck with you. And your rented cars, your rented house, and your rented woman. Another fighter in the comment, Gerald Mearshart. Ah, yes. We all know the toughest and most violent individuals have manicured eyebrows. Get him, GM3. Jason Mayhem Miller chiming in. This guy is the most hilarious part of the recent internet. He got rich telling stories from prison, and recently the jig is up. Everyone sees him as the fraud he is. He jumped a guy who challenged him one-on-one and is likely headed back to prison, where most people think the way that he does. That's what I was just talking about. That's what he's referencing, that incident at the gym. I think that's what that case is about. He learned nothing from his mistakes. Everyone keeps telling me to give him a beat down, but I don't see the point. He'd likely sue. Maybe Mayhem Miller, not the best person at this point to be teaching the lesson, but probably still could do it, though. Probably still could do it. It's another one that was interesting to me. Shannon Briggs seems to orbit the MMA space, even though he is a boxer. He's had one kickboxing fight that I could find, so I guess, combat sports athlete, of course, but he just pops up in a lot of MMA circles for some reason. Yeah, he's just talking, I'm a pro fighter, and my street fights are some of the most horrific beatings seen. I'm blessed not to be in prison. Some of you know what we are capable of and live in fear that if forced, we'll eliminate you with our hands. I am him. He is talking. I'm not religious at all. Interesting way to end that. Shannon Briggs also a little bit past his prime, but probably could still lay some serious hands on Wes Watson. Uriah Hall also weighing in with a reaction meme there. That is one post about this. A lot of people have been calling for Sean Strickland to handle Wes Watson, considering that Sean Strickland is known for laying hands on influencers. I'm sure that Sean Strickland would be able to give this guy problems, as he has with all influencers. But in the comments here, a couple other fighters weighing in. Phil Rowe says, I'll make a viral clip at your expense next time I'm in Miami. I know people that know you. Phil Rowe could make it happen. Walt Harris coming in saying, run it. I'll sleep you in under a minute. I won't even grapple. I'll bet every penny I got. Juicer versus Juicer. Maybe they could have a fight at the enhanced games that are coming up. Dustin Lampros saying, there's absolutely no way this guy is serious. Definitely trolling, right? Yep, gotta be. Eamon Zahabi saying the ink from his tattoos has gotten into his bloodstream and fried his brain. Charles Johnson saying man's just be talking. Torres Finney coming in with a reaction meme. So yeah, that's another post about all of this. A lot of fighters not very happy. A bunch of them willing to take this guy on in a heartbeat to prove just how about it MMA fighters are. And one other person that had some things to say about this didn't say it in the comments section. He said it directly to Wes Watson. This is not from his account, but I think that these are confirmed to be true. These are DMs that Kevin Holland put out between him and Wes Watson. So Kevin Holland starts off saying, damn, comments off. You go on a rant, then turn into a pussy. Watson says, comments aren't turned off, slow motherfucker. You got to follow to comment. You got something to say, crybaby. Holland says, my page is the same way. I'm in Miami Thursday. Beach fight, bar fight, house fight. Up to you. Your way, your city. Oh, and your girl's hot. Watson responds to that, she don't like toads. Nobody does. Now, I was not aware of this as a term, but I had seen another video talking about the situation, and according to something else I didn't even know existed, the racial slur database, toad, apparently is a prison term for black people. Derogatory slang for a black person in prison. So Wes Watson, of course, a dude who's done time in prison, being a little bit racist here, saying that she doesn't like toads and nobody does, could be construed as somewhat racist, I would say. Holland responds, she likes money, I can tell. A little bit of a reference to her line of work, being a paid companion. And Watson responds, you're broke, kiddo. Holland says, get off the crack. Watson says, fuck the matter with you little boys. Boy. Ugh. Another thing kind of walking borderline as to the racial overtones there. Had he not been racist prior, I wouldn't put two and two together on that one, but he was, so you can extrapolate. So Holland says, so what's up? You being a pussy or what? Mr. Watson getting a little bit heated at this point, says, talking shit because you hear something you don't agree with. I don't give a fuck who you or if you like me. And Holland responds, ain't that how the world works? And Holland is exactly correct. Watson's starting to get heated over getting flack for some shit he started. He started this whole shit. No one told you to say this shit about fighters, bro. You brought all of this on yourself. Now you've got an entire community of trained killers all gunning for you. You opened up a can of worms that you cannot undo, my friend. Pandora's box is open for you now. Guaranteed that there are fighters. This is the equivalent of dissing Brazil. Anytime that you diss Brazil, 1,000 Brazilians are plotting against you now. You diss a whole community of fighters, now the fight world is on your ass. And I guarantee you that there are people out there who aren't anywhere near this conversation that just hear this kind of shit and now they're gunning for you. So to that last comment, Watson says, fuck weirdo. Holland says, I'd call you, but I ain't got your number. Holland is taking this to the level right now that he was just talking about in the video. Watson responds, I will send you a KFC gift card. How about that? Racist. This dude is seriously racist. And apparently he did drop the hard R in a leaked phone recording at some point. So this dude who was dapped up by every race as he exited the prison might not want to go back to prison talking this way. Kevin Holland says, sucks being an influencer when you get called out and won't do shit, huh? Exactly. Holland is hitting every nail directly on the head. Watson just calls him stupid. Nobody gives a fuck about your arm bar squares wanting to fight. Holland says, seems like you bitching. Exactly. Watson then hits him with the wall of text. People where I'm from don't fight. They win. They don't care about that shit. You done time, pussy. You been to prison. Bet not square. Fuck out of my DM, broke F-slur. Think you're gonna motherfucker like me, pussy bitch, skinny little bitch. Watson's getting so pissed off at this point that he's not even typing straight. And I believe that that's where the conversation ends. Yeah, that is where the conversation ends, as I believe that this signifies that he blocked Kevin Holland at this point. That's, I mean, I guess that's the full extent of it. This Wes Watson dude has poked the bear when it comes to MMA fighters, and now he is reaping what he sowed. A lot of fighters offering to kick this guy's ass. We're going to have to see if it actually ends up happening. Again, Jorge Masvidal down there in the same city as this dude. Plenty of fighters fighting out of Miami. Florida is a great state for combat sports because of how much combat sports take place in the state. So you have a whole lot of killers in your backyard that are more than happy to show you what a real violent person is like. Wes Watson, bro, opened up a door he did not want to step through. Anyway, Wes Watson is a dork. For yelling about mixed martial arts, this has been Thinker St. James. Like and subscribe.
James.